right. Well, in the spring of 1976, I was not actively doing very much of anything, and my dad had an empty piece of property up here on Allisonville Road, not at this location, and he suggested that we start a nursery. So we went to Michigan and found some evergreens, and we put them on the lot, and that was the beginning of the process. And here we are 40 years later. Now, we were down there on that location. We moved up here in '85 and built this facility, and then we've added on, and we've become a destination garden center with special niches and fountains and containers and Christmas, and people come to us all different seasons, and we've been very fortunate. It's been a very fun time. I've loved this job.
That was excellent.
Was it?
Because that whole piece, you hit all these different points in there.
Yeah.
So for me, what I'm thinking is, you're 22. Your father suggests starting a nursery. Why? What was the connection there?
Well, the connection was, he wanted to see me get busy doing something, and he thought we should all be doing something on our own. But he all his life was an entrepreneur, and he always loved plants and trees, and he also saw the growth that was starting to happen in this part of the country, and he knew that the potential was good for that kind of a product. So those things all came together. That's why he suggested it.
And then they built the airport.
Yes,
right?
my dad on his 240-acre farm in 1960, with my older brothers helping, because my dad had excavating equipment, they decided to build an airport. So they went out there with their equipment, and they built the runway and started the airport and did the whole thing. And I grew up as a little kid at the airport. Mm-hmm.
So what about aviation? Is that in your
I've never been interested in aviation, but my other brothers are both pilots, and both became pilots before they could drive cars.
Wow,
yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. So you started this with your dad.
Yep.
Or do you have any of your siblings involved in this at all?
No siblings involved, just my wife, Nancy.
Okay.
And Nancy's responsible for all this beauty you see in the store. She's our merchandiser and buyer.
So when you buy some trees, there's a lot to learn.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So where did you get that? Did that passion? Did it just develop over time?
Yes, it did. And I've always, even as a very young man, loved nature and loved trees. So when I started in '76, I already had a pretty good background as trees. My dad and I used to go out in the woods and dig up trees and plant all around the farm. So I was pretty well rooted, excuse the pun, in all that. And then once I started actually getting involved in buying trees and visiting growers, well, the passion and the interest just ignited.
So I saw, somebody coming right up to you with a dead limb.
Yeah, we get a lot of that around here. And most of it oftentimes is nothing serious, but when people see a branch on their tree, they get concerned. But you know what? After 40 years, you get to figuring out, you get to feel trees are like people, and there's natural things they go through, and once you kind of understand the process, you kind of can figure out most of the problems fairly easily.
So you move here in 1985.
Right.
And this is a beautiful, large garden center, and you do a variety of things.
Right.
So how did you get involved with Master Nursery? Are you a home and garden show place or a Master Nursery?
Well, no, we're not a home and garden show place. We are a member of Master Nursery.
And how did that occur?
I think, of course, I don't remember how it occurred. I think we either saw them at one of the shows or they contacted us, and my nursery manager brought it to our attention and said this would be a great thing, and boom, we jumped on board, and it is a great thing.
Yeah. And so if you notice changes, is there, if you're, I guess my question would be, Hank, if you're talking to another independent garden center, why would you recommend Master Nursery to them?
Well, I think the obvious thing for all of us in the industry is when you're a member of something like a Master Nursery, you immediately qualify for good discounts. And that's the number one motivating thing. It's kind of like a loyalty program for a garden center. The customers, the main thing they care about is getting a discount or getting, a price break. So that's the number one thing. It enables us to buy product from some growers that without the discount, sometimes the price point's a little bit out of line, but with the discounting, it makes them affordable, and I think just the overall combination of vendors and the way it's serviced and all of our billing, it makes it very simple.
You mentioned your joy of how you love this job.
Yes.
And you've been married this whole time. Do you have kids?
I do.
Are they involved
No,
in them?
they're not.
They're not involved at
No.
all. And what do you see kind of for the future for Allisonville?
That's a little bit unknown
Okay.
because I'm 62 and I'm not quite ready to quit yet, but I'm not sure what the exit strategy is going to be.
That I was just curious on that.
Yeah.
And then, you already answered this at the beginning. You actually did a great job of talking about the history and then some things you did. So I'll be able to take that and turn it into a very short, nice clip.
Yeah.
So, but after I talk to somebody for a while, I like to kind of repeat. Mm-hmm. And just in my mind, I always say to somebody, hey, look, you're going out for a beer or a glass of wine or a cup of coffee with a friend.
Right.
And you're saying to them, hey, this is why somebody should come to Allisonville. Why should they come to Allisonville?
I think the reason they should come is the range of products is really broad, and the selection of our products is uniquely quality different. So you're going to see things here you're not going to see in any other store. You're going to see a broad range of them. You're going to see quality that we work for to keep it number one. And you're also going to be able to talk to people who know what they're talking about in their field. And also, it's just a real good time.
That's perfect.
Okay.